What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back today with an NFL Power Rankings after week 2, going into week 3. We are going to be, analyzing after 2 weeks. I mean, overreactions a little bit maybe. But this is where we think these teams fit right as of right now, heading into week 3.
All right, so for our worst our worst team so far out of 2 weeks was the Jacksonville Jaguars. They didn't look good last week against the Broncos, and they have not been moving the ball efficiently on offense. So they're going to be ranked at 32 for now.
Coming in, you got Zach Wilson's 4 interceptions and the Jets. This team isn't really expected to do much this year, but look towards the future for next year. Not too many bright spots so far in the Jet season.
Next, we got the Atlanta Falcons. They came off of a big loss against the Buccaneers. They played closer than the final score was, in my opinion, but they're still a bottom team right now as of week 3. So,
and then we're gonna go to the Giants here, who should have been higher, but I would say, my personal opinion is I think the ref screwed him there because he got a good jump on the ball when they hiked it. But unfortunately, it was a flag, and then the next kick they made to win it. But this team does show promise. Daniel Jones looks a lot better than he has in recent years, and Sterling Shepard is finally being the player that they always thought he would. He just isn't hurt for once. So this Giant team could get some surprise wins here and there as they played some competitive football in the first 2 weeks.
Next, we got a lot of people's Detroit Lions. 0-2, big loss against Green Bay. Kind of got blown out there in the second half. The secondary is not great. They're just a rebuilding team, so they're really just looking towards the future for right now.
Yeah, tough week 3 task because they're going against Baltimore too. So this team can really be hitting the panic button real soon. So then we're going to stick with the Texans here. They're going to stay the same. They played pretty good against Cleveland last week. I'll give them credit. And they lost Tyrod Taylor in the game. So they had this David Mills. He's going to be starting this week as well. So that's something to look at, as obviously this game will be played technically tomorrow when we're making this video, but we're going to be dropping it on Thursday. So tonight, this will be something to watch. But lots of questions still surrounding Houston on the Deshaun Watson debate, and a really hot take is Brandon Cooks is the most underrated receiver in the NFL.
It's a hot take, but maybe. Next, we got the Indianapolis Colts. They played a close game against the Rams. They didn't really look too sharp, which is why they have a low ranking. And they got a tough task in week 3 against the Titans. So it'll be interesting to see what that offense can do.
Especially with all the questions around Carson Wentz as well, if he'll play or not. So that's another team to look at. Minnesota, I'm kind of shocked to see this team down here. You have KJ Osborne, who's been a breakout star through the first 2 weeks. And obviously you have Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. So Kirk Cousins has some weapons, and I didn't even say Dalvin Cook yet. So that offense is going to put up some points for sure. But that defense is pretty easy to score on. As you can see, they lost 34-33 to Arizona, who's another team that likes to score a lot. But they missed a field goal at the end, typical Viking style. So this team really should be 1-1. But right now we're just going to put them here.
Coming in at 24, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. They got a big week 3 matchup, which can really tilt which way their season is going to go against the Steelers. I feel like that's a good matchup for the Steelers because of their offensive line has a lot of problems. But the Bengals, they looked very slow in the first half against the Bears, and they finally picked it up in the fourth quarter, and it just wasn't enough. But that offense can score, so it's going to be entertaining this year.
So 23rd, we got the Miami Dolphins, another team with lots of questions after week 2. Tua's officially ruled out. So you got Jacoby Brissett coming in, and they're facing the red hot Raiders right now, who look pretty much unbeatable no matter who they play through the first 2 weeks. Derek Carr is going off. This defense obviously got torched last week, 35-0. So the Dolphins season could be from 1-1 to who knows 1 however if they don't right this ship real quick.
Hey, looking for a trade maybe for Deshaun Watson if he gets good. I mean, that would be a great fit.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we got the Chicago Bears, who just beat the Bengals, as we talked about earlier. They go against the Browns this week, which I'm not expecting them to play too well in, especially because the Browns' offensive line is just so good, and they match up against the the Browns. So, yeah, I think the Bears will lose this game, but they look decent in week 2, so it's good.
Mm-hmm. Another thing noting is this will be Justin Fields' first career start this weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Justin Fields.
So, honestly, this could be a potential game of the week just because of all the hype around it. And it is a big game for the Browns as well, just because, they're already 1-1 and they're ranked pretty high right now. But, a 1-2 start to that season and, the Steelers, Bengals, Ravens, like this could be a really competitive division. So early losses will come back and haunt you. But at 21st, we have Philadelphia. They looked really good in week 1, and then week 2 they looked pretty sluggish, but they did lose a close one to San Francisco. Hurts played pretty, I'd say it looked average. Hurts didn't really do anything too wrong, but just a few costly mistakes here and there, little things tweak. As they got a Monday Night Football in Dallas, that should be an interesting game, and I think those two teams are going to be. One of those two teams will be the NFC East winner. So an early matchup that will, dictate how that division will play out.
Next, we got the Washington football team coming in top 20 after a very good game, a very entertaining Thursday night football game, which was not expected from that game. Ended up winning a shootout 30-29. They got the Bills coming up this week. That's another good game. There's a lot of good games here in week 3. We're excited. This is exciting stuff right now.
At 19th, we have Mac Jones and the New England Patriots. They pretty much got handed this win after Zach Wilson's performance. Not much to be said about this team, but they get a challenging task. Maybe I don't know what Saints team is going to get, but it is at home, so that'll be helpful to Mac Jones as he's starting to get more reps and learn the NFL. So that's why we're putting them at 19th right now. Not too much moving up there.
I'm pretty high on the Denver Broncos coming in at number 18. They're a 2-0 start with Teddy Bridgewater at their starting quarterback. They become a lot more stable, and they already have a very good roster. So this team could be a sneaky wild card team as long as Teddy Bridgewater stays healthy.
Mm-hmm. I agree. But that division, with the Raiders starting out and the Chiefs and the Chargers, just a lot of work to do, but they definitely have the talent to do so. And another surprising team is the Carolina Panthers. Coming in at 17th here, beat the Saints pretty bad. Winston didn't play too well, but Darnold did just what he had to do to win. And obviously having Christian McCaffrey helps out a little bit. So they're going to be playing tonight, Thursday night football against the Texans. So, if they win this game, quick 3-0 start to them, big confidence boost for Darnold. That's been like probably his most games he's ever won in a season. And Matt Rule, could be the real deal, a potential coach of the year.
At number 16, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, and their offense really hasn't figured it out yet. And once they do, they'll go. So I'm not really worried about them. I still think they are a wild card team because of that division. But their offensive line needs to produce a little bit better, and this is a big task in week 3 going up against the Chiefs. So that's another game of the week.
Another if you're a bettor out there, I saw today that Justin Herbert's odds are 30-1 to win MVP. If you're willing to take a risk on a guy that, too many people aren't high on right now, I'd say Herbert's your man, just because of what he's already done this year. And he's been pretty good. He's been a top 10 quarterback, in my opinion, already this year, and he hasn't even hit his stride yet. So that's something to look out for, as well, as this team can score a lot of points if, they get going. At 15th, we got the Cowboys beating the Chargers actually last week on a game-winning field goal. Their kicker actually made field goals this week, so they could have beat Tampa week 1 too if he kicks well. So this Cowboys team is a lot better with Dak, as you can see. And as I said before, a Monday Night Football matchup to decide the division early should be a good one.
Next, we got the Saints. Like you said earlier, we don't know which team we're going to get because you've only seen 2 sample games. This is a big test for them in week 3, going up against a pretty good Bill Belichick defense, especially in Foxborough. So if Jameis Winston can play like we know he can play without those turnovers, then they could see a really good team like they did in week 1.
At 13th, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. 2-0. Big win in Pitt last week, and they're facing a Dolphins team in week 3 that, is a little banged up early in the season. And I think if they get this win, they could be a top 10 team moving forward and a pretty scary team to face.
Coming in at number 12 is the Tennessee Titans. They had a very impressive comeback win against the Seahawks this last Sunday. And they're looking to build off that in another big divisional game going up against the Colts. So that's going to be a very good one as well. I honestly think the Titans could beat the Colts. I think they're the better team right now. They'd be the favorite. So.
All right, my Packers
number
here. 11. Big win against Detroit, which was expected. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had a bad week 1. And, I just expected him to go off in week 2. Aaron Jones, obviously, huge game. Did it for his dad, and obviously that's a touchy subject there for him. But week 3 at 49ers, it seems like they're the kryptonite to the Packers in the last few years, the 49ers. I think if they win this game, they're finally gonna get over the hump, and I think that's going to propel them to, potentially a top 6 ranking, top 5, I think it's going to be interesting next week for sure, because you have a lot of teams that haven't lost playing a 1-loss team that are pretty good. So I think that's a game to watch for sure.
Coming in at number 10, we got my Pittsburgh Steelers. They didn't look too great against the Raiders this past week, but I mean, other than that big touchdown at the end of the game by Derek Carr, before that, I mean, it was a really close game. And the Steelers played good without all their defensive guys, so their defense will be better. Their offense is actually moving a little bit more than last year, so if that can keep up, they could be a wild card team as well.
Coming in at 9, you got the Bills. They didn't really have too much of a task going against the Dolphins this week, because the Dolphins just did not play well at all.
Josh Allen just owns the Dolphins. Haven't lost yet.
And, we're just going to keep them here at 9. Didn't move them just because I feel like it was a gimme win. And, they are home against Washington this week. So I'm expecting another victory here to move them to 2-1 and potentially move up in the rankings next week.
Next, we got the Seahawks. They came off a loss to the Titans that we said earlier. It was a close game. But this week they got the Vikings. They're looking to turn it around, and I'm thinking they're gonna. They're probably the favorite to win the division right now in the division. That stacked division, though, who knows? And so these games are huge for the Seahawks right now because it's a non-divisional game. You should win, so they need to win, especially on the road.
And another NFC West division mate is you got the San Francisco 49ers moving up in the rankings. A big win, I think, against Philly. 2-0, I didn't really know if too many people were is San Francisco going to be good? Everyone's talking about the quarterback situation. Right. Finally get healthy, and then the 49ers running back room just explodes, just like the Ravens. And
so they're going to win ugly a lot this year.
Like these scores will be kind of weird for the 49ers, but, it's still a decent team, good defense, but a little
to be in our
top
top 10.
So obviously they're coming in at 7 right now. So this is a team to watch for sure.
Next, we got the very impressive looking Arizona Cardinals. I know it's the beginning of the year, but Kyler Murray, I said before, I think he could be an MVP candidate, and he's been looking like it so far. Great start to the season, and they got a really easy game this week. Hopefully this isn't a trap game for them. I don't think it will. I'm seeing 40+ points by the Cardinals this week.
Coming in at 5th, not moving at all, is the Cleveland Browns. They won pretty good against Houston last week. I mean, I know it's only 10. Like, don't look at the score. They pretty much dominated them the whole game.
Yeah.
They're home this week against the Bears, which could be a trap game. Fields could, have a great first game starting. But I just think the ground and pound Cleveland Browns are just going to be too much for the Bears in that defense. And obviously, they might get Odell back this week, but they lost Landry last week. So it's just going to be an interesting team to watch for the next couple of weeks.
Number 4, we got the Kansas City Chiefs, which this is a hot take by us, but we have them at number 4. They looked really good, and they were a fumble away. So obviously, looking in the playoffs, if they face the Ravens again, I still think they would win. But the Ravens just beat them, so you got to give them their credit, and that's where we're going to be going in next.
Yep, we got the Ravens making a huge jump up to 3rd. Big win against Kansas City. You talked about it. I mean, John Harbaugh has huge trust in Lamar. And, Lamar was like, we're going for it. We're getting it at the end of the game. And that was pretty big. And, not too many people were talking about that. And it really shows how good the Ravens will be this year, considering that their head coach is all in on their quarterback. And that's a, rare sight to see, especially in week 2.
Right. Right.
They don't need the win, I guess, like to get in the playoffs. It's not the end of the season, So being aggressive early can help and hurt you. And this week it definitely helped the Ravens. But they're going to go into Detroit next weekend. And I'm thinking, it's going to be just an ugly game for the Lions. They're just not going to do anything. But this Ravens team looks pretty scary this early on.
Next, we got the Rams, and Stafford's been looking great. They came off a big win against Indianapolis. They looked really good. And this game here in week 3 against the Buccaneers, this is huge. This could be the game of the week. I'm not going to spoil our picks or anything because it's a different video. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting.
All right. So I'll talk about first place Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're not going to move until they lose pretty much. They single-handedly destroyed Atlanta. The score is helping Atlanta, in my opinion. They dominated pretty much the whole second half. Like, Atlanta couldn't do anything. And it got ugly late because of Atlanta was trying to force things. But as we said, a tough week 3 task, especially because Tom Brady's got his first road game of the year, and it's against the second team in our mind in the league. And it's just going to be an interesting game for sure. I'm going to go with you there. Game of the week. Lots of buzz already this week surrounding this game, and hopefully it lives up to the hype.
Yep. And that's it for today, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. But other than that, Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.